All right, hey everyone. I am using a new computer with a new screen capture utility. We will see how this goes, but I got this document from Dr. Stephen Davis, who works very closely with Pastor Wiley Drake on the WileyDrakeShow.com. I thought it was worth reading into YouTube, and I find it very encouraging. But as many of you know, Schaeffer Cox has been thrown back into CMU prison. His communications have been restricted. Warden Maureen Baird, if you ever look her up on YouTube or research her, she flipped a car while she was intoxicated, and the cops refused or forgot to file a report. And after much people complained, I guess they finally remembered to file a report. So that's about all I could find out about Warden Maureen Baird, is that she gets inebriated and flips cars while she's inebriated. But in any event, regardless of that particular story that you can easily find it for yourself, she is conspiring to restrict Schaeffer's First Amendment and Pastor Wiley Drake's First Amendment right to communicate with one another. And that is a felony when you conspire with other individuals. I believe she's conspiring with the domestic terrorist organization in Virginia. And many of you know that Schaeffer was just about to be put full time. He had to go 6 months without any write ups. And just a few days before he was to finish his 6 month period, where he could go back to a regular federal prison, have regular federal phone call or regular prison phone call privileges, be able to have contact visits with his family, and have regular United States mail correspondence. They stuck him back in the CMU, and that is absolutely horrific that they have done this. It is they're basically conspiring to limit Schaeffer's constitutional rights and also Pastor Wiley Drake's constitutional rights, and they need to be held accountable. I mean, that's a felony. That's a felony what Warden Maureen Baird is doing. And many of you know Schaeffer reached out to Pastor Wiley Drake from the CMU prison. And after that conversation, Warden Maureen Baird conspired to remove Pastor Wiley Drake from Schaeffer's contact list. So this letter has been written up by Dr. Stephen Davis, and with the full approval of Pastor Wiley Drake, and I am reading it into YouTube now. All right. First Southern Baptist Church, 6801 Western Avenue, Buena Parks, California, 90621. Phone 714-522-7201. Wiley at att.net. Senior Pastor Dr. Wiley Drake. November the 14th, 2016. Warden Maureen Baird, United States Prison, Marion, Illinois. Fax number 1-618-964-2058. Related. Request for telephonic meet and confer prior to federal tort and felony arrest action, i.e. Francis Schaeffer Cox 16179-006. Honorable Warden Baird, I am Pastor Drake, the clergyman for inmate Francis Cox. I am writing you to request a telephonic meeting with you within the next 5 days so as to avoid my starting litigation and felony investigation against you, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the United States Department of Justice, and President Obama. Prior to sending you this fax, I have consulted with an expert on First Amendment rights and BOP regulations. As a result, I am familiar with the Federal Bureau of Prison regulations, which include, number one, telephone communications, BOP Regulation 5264.008, and number two, Bureau of Prisons Press Media Relations, BOP Regulation 1480.005. My communications with inmate Cox has been stayed by you and your staff illegally in violation of my First Amendment rights. In order to stop such communications, I had to have created a safety violation as follows. A. Talk with Cox about anything that is a risk to the Marion prison. B. Talk to Cox about anything that is a risk to any staff member at the prison. C. Talk to Cox about any criminal activity to be committed now or in the future. D. I did not do any of those things, nor otherwise violate BOP telephone communications, nor media regulations. Therefore, you're interfering with the First Amendment freedom of speech and the freedom of the press rights, which controls the BOP regulations, is both civilly and criminally illegal. As a pastor and media representative, I have the right to speak to Cox and to report on Cox's case and issues by interviewing him. Under statute and case law, I may sue Warden Baird for violating my First Amendment rights to speak to Cox. According to my expert, the BOP, Bureau of Prisons staff, and Warden Baird are committing a felony by violating my First Amendment speech rights and the freedom of media constitutional rights under Title 18 United States Code, Section 241. If you, Warden Baird, do not immediately correct the problem and return my communication rights with Cox, I will file a federal tort claim against you, the Bureau of Prisons, the Department of Justice, and President Obama, who I have sued before. I will then file a Bivens lawsuit, possibly a class action, for everyone who wishes to speak to Cox and whose rights have been violated by you. As a pastor, I also have the right to have private counseling sessions with Cox. See below. Priest Privacy Privilege Prisoners' Crimes. The ruling contains a detailed discussion of why federal court abstention from an ongoing state criminal prosecution was not warranted under Younger v. Harris 401 U.S. 3791 S.CT 746 1971. It also holds that clergy communication is privileged and cannot be violated by the state. This ruling will be useful to prisoners and detainees challenging the recording and eavesdropping of communications between themselves and members of the clergy. See Makatis versus Harkle Road, 104F.3D, 1522, 9th Circuit, 1997. Priest private privilege. The Bible demands confidentiality in some areas. We are obligated to honor secrets told to us in confidence, unless there is a pressing reason not to. Proverbs 11:13, 12:23. In fact, those who cannot keep secrets are to be avoided. A gossip betrays a confidence, so avoid anyone who talks too much. Proverbs 20:19. The need to maintain confidence even applies when challenging others about their own sin. Matthew 18:15. Joseph's initial response to Mary's pregnancy was a quiet divorce done in confidence. Matthew 1:19. A choice credited to his righteousness. You may wish to review the following under crime interfering with constitutional rights. 18 United States Code 241, 18 United States Code, 241 is a felony, 18 United States Code 242 is a misdemeanor. Please call me directly within the next 5 days. Meanwhile, as a member of the media, I will be reporting on both my television show and social media the illegal acts set forth above. Professionally, Dr. Wiley Drake. Praise God Almighty. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, we need to hold these people accountable. They cannot continue to have the fox guarding the henhouse. If you want to see what happens when there's no transparency and there's no accountability, look at pictures of Abu Ghraib prison. These people live in a bubble. They think they're untouchable, and they start to restrict prisoners' rights. They start to believe that everything they do is beyond question, and that's when torture happens. John Brennan defends torture. It's no doubt in my mind that the Bureau of Prisons director, Charles E. Samuels Jr. was appointed by Obama to be a yes man. All you got to do is look up a video on YouTube, John Oliver, Charles E. Samuels Jr. or John Oliver prison director, and you'll see Charles E. Samuels Jr. testify before Congressman Al Franken, and he makes an absolute fool of himself. Al Franken basically blows up and just says, what kind of person am I talking to? Because the man doesn't even know the basic bare facts about what goes on in his own prisons that Obama appointed him over. I pray that you do look up that video, and I pray that you keep this in your prayers, and that Schaeffer Cox can be his communications can be restored to Wiley Drake and the rest of us. Thank you.